Hey everybody, this is Jerry. Welcome back. I got Dick Kline back again. He's the one. We had a great discussion 2 weeks ago about whether NAWALTs exist, whether men can improve their confidence, what are men looking for? That's what we're exploring. So we're going to continue this conversation. Dick has this awesome list he wants to share, and I'm really excited. And on top of this, both he and I want to emphasize, if you haven't seen the previous interview, the previous talk we have, please talk about that, because you watch something twice, 3 times, you're going to remember, and you're also going to pick up things you didn't see the first or second time. So please, I will put that in a link and also in a card on the side. So without further ado, welcome back, Dick.
Hi there, everybody, and hi, Jerry. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
I've been doing some cogitating.
Cogitating, love that word.
Between calls, and one of the things I wanted to point out was that when we arrive in this world, nobody hands us an operating manual.
Yeah, true.
So we have to, on our own, try to figure out what the hell is this all about, and what am I supposed to do while I'm here? And that's why I always try to explore things and try to understand things and try to conceptualize things, because it helps me. And everybody's brain is different. No two brains are the same. Everybody puts things together their own way. But the important thing is you gotta write your own manual. You can't use somebody else's. It may work for them, but you gotta make your own.
Yeah.
So another way of saying it is you've got to become your own teacher. You've got to teach yourself what it's all about. So when I wrote this list up of what it entails when you get involved in a relationship, that is, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, how do you go about evaluating it? How do you make up your mind? Is this right for me? Is this working? Or should I run? What I thought of was, as I say, this list that there are items that you have to examine very, very carefully, because there's the number one thing on the list, okay, is the level of self-esteem and self-worth that you're at. Now, this is my theory, but I believe that we always pick people who are on the same level of self-esteem and self-worth that we're on. For example, if we're a 2, we pick a 2. We don't pick a 10. Why? Well, we feel outgunned. What the hell would they want with us? They're too powerful. They've got too much going for them. So you tend to gravitate to the person who's on your level of self-esteem and self-worth. Now, someone might say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, I see it as big problems. And again, everything I say is from my own perspective, from my own manual, if you will. It's not something I got out of a book. It's not something I saw on the lecture circuit or watched in a movie. No. It's my evaluation based on hands-on experience, going through it, right?
Yep.
And the thing, to just digress now for a minute, okay, I want to raise my level of self-esteem and self-worth. How do I do that? If I'm not feeling too good about myself, how do I raise it? Well, everybody has to come up with their own way that works for them. But I would throw out there to everybody, this is my approach to it. I worked as an art director in advertising for 50 years in New York City, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, a terrific job. In fact, I came out of the cornfields of Connecticut as a country bumpkin. I truly was a country bumpkin.
Wow.
With very low self-esteem to boot.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the philosophies I had at that time, which did very well for me, was pick a profession where the people that surround you are smarter than you. That way you will learn a lot.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of the creative people. They had different classifications. There were the creative people, there were the account people, there were the traffic people, there were the media people, and of course, I was in this special category, creative.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to give talks to small groups of people years ago, and what I would say to them, and because I also found it very, very interesting, I would ask people, how many of you feel that you are creative? A few hands would go up. How many feel that you're not creative? More hands go up. How many don't know? Hands go up. Okay. I say to them, well, I have news for all of you. Every single one of you is creative, and I'm going to prove it. As you sit here right now, in your life, you have had a ton of barriers and problems and potholes that you had to overcome. And there was no manual that would tell you, well, here's what you do. No. You had to analyze the problem, then figure out a solution and move on. And you did it. There's only one thing you didn't do. You did not give yourself credit. You did not pat yourself on the back and say, damn, I did a good job with that. Now someone might say, oh, you can't do that. I mean, you might get yourself a big head. Well, the hell with you, buddy. I deserve it. And who else? Everybody wants to be acknowledged. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And right. And the thing is that you have to put assets in your own bank by saying, I did a good job. Okay. Now that does three very important things when you give yourself credit and self-acknowledgement. The first thing it does is you empower yourself to be even more creative.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself permission to be even more kick-ass creative. All right, the second thing, that raises your level of self-esteem and self-worth.
Yeah.
Okay, and the third thing, it has a tremendous impact on your whole life. And someone might say, how the hell is that? What? How could that be? Very simple. We tend to gravitate to people with the level of self-esteem we've built up inside. And the higher it is, the more supportive the people you select and choose to be friends with or have a relationship with, the lower it is. Here's how it plays out. People with low self-esteem walk around with a ruler, a yardstick. They're always comparing what you have versus what they've got. And if they don't like what you've got, they find ways to take you down, back down to their level.
Oh, yeah.
They're competitive. And you see this in adversarial marriages. People who are always digging at each other, a hostile humor, put down humor, or whatever. These are not people on your side. Why the hell do you want to bother with them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And, okay, so now this goes to another very, very deep, important point. And that is, this is one of the most crucial things that can happen in your young life or not happen in your life. And that is, when you are little, you need to have someone who believes in you. It could be an uncle, an aunt, a cousin, a big brother, a big sister, a good friend, but somebody who believes in you, which then gives you permission to believe in yourself. Without that, you grow up looking for approval from somebody somewhere and never getting it.
Yeah.
So you're always off base. And the only way to heal that wound is you've got to start giving yourself approval.
Yeah.
Does that make sense with what I'm saying?
That makes perfect sense. And to give a sort of example of what you're saying, a lot of Asian kids who grow up in America have this self-esteem issue because, you know, it would be different if they were living in China or Korea or Japan where everyone's humble. But in America, America's all about giving yourself credit and about just touting your accomplishments. And from a young age, if your parents are always knocking you down, oh, you got an A minus, well, guess what? There's 2 kids who got an A plus, so you should strive to be like them. So they're always putting down your achievements. So eventually, you go out into the world and you never really learn how to sort of tout your own horn. At my current company, where I'm working at a Chinese media company, we got 1 white guy, 1 Hispanic person, and we have 10 Chinese people. Like, Chinese people are so humble. The white guy is just always telling stories, always like saying, oh, I did this back in the day, I did that in the day. And we're all just laughing. We're like, he's so stereotypically American, but we're also like, no, but we also have to learn from him because we're all so talented, but we never give ourselves enough credit.
That's right. That's right. And the Asian culture is a very smart, bright culture, like the Indian culture. The mathematicians from India and from China, the incredible scientific advances that were made many, many years ago.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, this is a very, very important subject. Because it's so important to build your own self-confidence and keep growing. And, you know, it's a very competitive world, and we've all got to do the best we can for ourselves. And if you've been dumped on because you're never good enough, that's a no-no in my view. That's not the way to go about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, at any rate, I wanted to cover that territory before going back to this list. But as I say, on the list for relationship is, again, the importance of level of self-esteem.
Yeah.
If you're getting involved with somebody who has poor self-esteem, you are going to be dragging yourself further down. And the other side of that issue is, let's say you're a 2 and they're a 2. You start to become a 3, 4, and a 5. Guess what's going to happen? An attack will take place.
Oh, yeah.
This person says, "Oh my God, they're getting ahead of me. They're going to dump me."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They have to find a way to take you back down to their level.
Yeah, I've had many people do that to me. On my other YouTube channel, when I started getting a little ahead, oh man, these people I thought were my friends, man, wouldn't support me. They would just I'd ask them for help, they wouldn't support me, and then I was like, okay, you're gone. I'm like, okay, I'm cutting you off, and then they would write me letters being like, oh yeah, well you're delusional. I'm like, well, at least I'm doing something. You're just sitting back criticizing.
Right.
But it's like that. It's like that type of attack. Exactly.
Right. Well, again, the thing is that for all of us, we get involved in these situations with people, and you're in love or whatever, and you got the blinders on, and you're not really looking at what it is you're signing up for.
Yeah, that's true.
So at any rate, the second one is do both parties have a similar view of reality? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you have conflicting views of reality, you've got a problem, because you're always going to be battling each other.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is that you have to have a similar view of how you deal with money.
Yes.
If one person's a saver and another one is a spender, you got a big problem.
That is probably, besides the self-esteem issue, that is definitely number 2. Because I can say from experience, my parents, my dad's a spender, my mom is a really penny-pinching saver. Oh man, that I think 80% of arguments were because of money.
Yes, yeah. By the way, one other thing I just want to insert here while I think of it is, on this formidable list, because it is a formidable list, it really requires a lot of cogitation, but whatever you're doing in terms of evaluating this other person, you better have your stuff together.
Oh yeah.
It can't be a one-way street where it's just, well, they're supposed to be this way or they're supposed to be that way, but I can be the way I want. No.
Yeah.
It's got to work for both parties. It's not a one-way street.
Exactly. You have to help each other grow, right? You can't just expect them to change for you. If you want to change for the better and you expect them to change for the better, then that's a healthy dynamic. But too many times, one party wants to change the other. A lot of times it's the girl trying to change the guy, but a lot of times the guy's trying to change the girl too. But you got to both be willing to change.
No question. Okay, number 3 on the list is, and again, this is a very, very important one in terms of how the relationship is, what it's based on. Can you have a conversation with this person and walk away feeling that they understand understood you, that your feelings were important to them, or did they take what you were talking about and get it all messed up? Or did they take it and twist it? Say, no, I didn't mean it that way. Or did they take it and then use it against you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, those things happen to people too, you know. You know, all of a sudden I was vulnerable, I opened up, I released my feelings, and now it's being used as a weapon against me.
Yeah. And I'll just say personally, like if someone pisses me off, I am guilty of that. Sometimes I will use what they tell me against them. So I'm not perfect in this regard.
Well, none of us are perfect, frankly. Yeah. But you work on yourself.
Exactly.
And again, the more you verbalize these things and come to understand them, you can then put the governor on and choose not to say it.
Exactly.
Not to use it. Because in a way, you know what? You end up using it against yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the payout for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's taking responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
And not trying to hurt someone.
Exactly. You know? But the conversation thing is so, like, I've experienced both sides of it, but until you phrased it, I never thought about that. Now I'm thinking of, like, just in general people, but I'm thinking of girls I've talked to, and it's like, yeah, there are some girls that's like everything you try to tell them, they're trying to raise a point against you. And it's like, can't you just listen? Like, aren't you processing anything? And I think that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about. Like, when we are talking, for example, like you're listening to me, I'm listening to you, and then we walk away from it, we both learn something. But there's certain people, you feel like they already have something that they already believe or want to say, and whatever you're saying is just room for until they say something.
Right, exactly. Okay, number 4 on the list, and again, this is another very important one. Can you enjoy a good laugh together? What happens because laughter is healing and therapeutic, and it's very healthy for the soul to just be able to let loose and laugh about something together.
Yeah.
And by the way, another example would be if you go to a comedy movie and you're with someone, the two of you laugh together much more completely and enjoy the humor much more so than if you're doing it all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sharing that experience. So the thing is, you might be with a person who thinks what you think is funny is stupid.
Oh, yeah.
But if you can't laugh at things together, what else doesn't get shared?
Exactly.
You know, and I'm not talking about hostile laughter. There's a difference between just intellectually enjoying a good humor, a twist of a line, or whatever it is, versus a put down of somebody,
Yeah.
or an attack at someone else's expense.
Yeah.
No, that's hostile. No, that's not in my book. You know, it's got to be humor that's like George Carlin was brilliant. I mean, the man had so many pointed things, but he did it with humor.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so great. I miss that guy. Okay.
But I'll bring up a really good point, sort of an example of this. Back when I was a journalist, there was this girl, I just say her name, I miss you, Jess. Anyway, so there's this really funny video that was been cracking me up for 2 months, and then I showed it to Jess, and she laughed just as hard as me. You know,
yes.
It's like you don't expect someone to laugh, and I was like, damn, she's cool. And then we went out. You know, like if you can find someone who can share a laugh, like the video I shared, I don't know if you've seen that video. It's a little girl playing with a dead squirrel, and it's so funny in a morbid way. Now, like some people will be like, this is weird or this is stupid, but she was laughing so hard. Like, if you can share a laugh with someone, it's like, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's also sharing an experience together. It's enriching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and my parents, for example, my dad loves the Three Stooges, and he loves Mr. Bean. He loves slapstick humor. But every time they watch together, my mom has this like stank face on, like, why the fuck are you laughing at this childish stuff? Like, so I don't think my parents have ever shared laughter together. I mean, I remember as a kid, I saw them both laughing at the Three Stooges, but it could have been a false memory I planted in my brain because my mom thoroughly denies that ever happening. But I remember that episode in the Sweet Pie and Pie in the Three Stooges where they're having a pie fight. I remember both my parents laughing, and I was a little toddler, right? So I didn't get the Three Stooges at the time, so I couldn't understand why they were laughing. But I distinctly remember it. But my mom claims I invented that memory.
On to number 5. Do you both have similar circadian rhythms?
Oh, yeah.
Now, someone might say, what? What are you talking about? Well, here's the deal. If your cycles are different, for example, if one person wants to go to bed early at night, the other likes to be up all night, you're on different timings. And so when do you get together to talk or relate to each other?
Yeah.
You know? It can become a problem.
Yeah.
You know, because it cuts way down on your together experiences. You know.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, it's something that you have to evaluate. Now, number 6 is, do you love this person exactly the way they are, or do you want to change a couple of things? What you see is what you get. If you try to change them, they'll resent it because you cannot change another person. So either you're going to find them annoying and it's not going to work, or you're going to say, well, I can live with that. I accept them and love them as they are. All right?
So important, that point. So important.
Okay, now number 7, and again, this is a killer. Do they have any kind of existing addictions? Because if there's a problem in some area, sooner or later, they're going to self-destruct, and they're going to take you with them. Okay, and the addictions I'm talking about could be a gambling addiction, a drinking addiction, shopping excessively, a sexual addiction, an eating addiction, a smoking addiction, all of the above, or any of the above, and any more that you can think of. But it's someone who's like kind of out of control, and it's going to become a problem.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, and not only that, they're not only going to hurt themselves, they're going to hurt you too. So, your choice, your call.
Yeah, because when the mind is addicted, it wants that thing. So if you stand in their way, they're gonna knock you down to get to that thing. You know, if they're addicted to gambling, you're like, don't gamble. They'll be like, fuck you, I'm gonna gamble, and they might hit you and stuff like that. I've heard many stories of that.
Yeah. Okay, number 8 is, do they have a hidden agenda? And what I mean by that is, are they seeing you as an accessory to their life? In other words, I want this and I want to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And you're sort of an accessory who's going to help them get what they want. But it's all about them, right?
Yeah.
And you're going going to have a problem with that one.
Oh yeah.
Do you find that you always have to take a back seat to whatever it is their needs are, okay? Or are the two of you working together for shared goals and objectives?
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yep.
Right? You're a team. You're working together. Or is this person really using you as sort of a support or an addition to whatever agenda they're on?
Yeah, monkey branch, some people call it.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'll add a point to this, which is that if you're an American watching this talk, you always have to be careful of foreign women, not just women. Just if you're a woman watching this, be careful of foreign people who show interest in you, because in the back of your mind, you always have to be careful. Do they like you because of you, or do they want a green card from you? I've heard many stories of,
oh, sure.
Yeah, you know, they pretend they like you, guys get married, and then you waste 3 to 5 years of your life. They get a green card, they might even get citizenship, and then you're like, fuck, I got taken advantage of.
That's right. So you got to really observe them in terms of how they treat you and how they treat other people.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
You know, because they might treat you like you're the king, and then you see the way they treat a sales clerk or somebody else who's beneath them.
Yeah.
And all those, oh, that's the real person right there.
Exactly. And a lot of times there's a term that some men use, you know, they say women can be such good chameleons that you might not even see any of this sort of like behavior until like 6 or 8 months. So my personal thing I would always tell people is, if you think you like someone, wait another year and then see before you marry or whatever. Or if you want to get married, wait 3 more years.
Can pull that same crap as well, you know, like, hey, I got myself a little woman, and she'll be doing the cooking and the house cleaning, and I'll watch the ball game.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, that's not a partnership. That's not a teamwork. You know, it's got to be two people working together.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. One thing that in my parents' marriage that would sometimes cause problems is that my dad would be like, "Yeah, let's have a party," and then my mom's like, "Okay," and then on the day of the party, my mom would be doing all the cooking, and my dad would be sitting back, and then so my mom would never want to have parties. But my mom was like, "Hey, you're making me do all the work, but you're having the idea," and so that would be a point of conflict too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Okay. Going on to number 9. And this one can't be important enough, in my view. And that is, do you feel completely safe with this person? And by that I mean, people can get moody or distant, and all of a sudden, what do they know? They no longer care about me, or their anger is causing them to withdraw from you. It can get dicey, you know, and or they can suddenly flash rage and tremendous anger out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, say, what the hell what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that can be scary. And again, you never know if it's going to pop up again. You know. So that's another important one. And number 10 is, do they always need the spotlight? I knew this woman who liked to play piano, and she'd have a group of guests over, and she'd start to sit sit down and play the piano, and the next thing her husband would like push her practically off the stool and take over.
Oh my God.
He needed all the oxygen in the room, and he wasn't about to share it.
Oh my God.
Well, there are people like that.
Oh yeah, I've met many. I've met many that are like that. Like even this is in the corporate world too. There's certain bosses who just want to talk throughout the whole entire meeting, and in the meeting you get nothing out of the meeting because part of the meeting is discussion.
That's right. Well, it's they're needy and desperate in a sense for attention, and since they wear the crown, they can pull it off.
Yeah, exactly.
But at any rate, the important thing is to recognize that everybody needs to feel that they can contribute to a conversation, or even be the focus for a while, without it being a threat
Exactly.
to the partner. Okay, number 11. Is this person someone who's going to blame you for everything that goes wrong? There are certainly people who will not accept blame themselves for anything, but they're more than willing to point the finger at you and admonish you for your indiscretion or whatever.
Or even like on meta things. Like some people, like I can even say for my parents, my mom kind of blames my dad for not getting his shit together and then ruining her dreams. Like she's very good at pointing that finger at my dad. She's done that many times.
Yeah, but of course not taking responsibility of, hey, why weren't you more assertive?
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of get what she's saying, because China is very patriarchal. It's getting better, but in the 90s and the 80s, you listen to your husband. And so my mom's argument is, I just listened to him. He said, don't get a PhD, just stick with your master's, and then I'll get everything. I'll get the family together. And I believed him. That's what my mom said. And so I kind of get her point, but then on top of that, besides that, it's like, no, it's not like you had two choices. There are other things you could have done. And so I like to call my mom out on that. I'm like, there's so many other things. It's not just, I listen to my husband or I don't listen. There's like compromises, and like you can't just point that finger. And unfortunately, I have some of the same traits. Like I catch myself a lot now, but sometimes I point fingers too. Like I love to talk shit about my parents and think they cause all my problems, which isn't completely true, of course. But so I'm not perfect in that regard.
No, but by examining it, you get to connect the dots, and you begin to see, hey, I didn't hold my end up in this situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, number 12 is, does this person have a way of creating stress or upset on a regular basis? Like always heaving about, wailing about something, Well, that's pain in the butt, to have to continually put up with someone who's always stressed out.
Yeah.
You don't need that kind of environment.
Nope, not at all.
All right. Okay, number 13 is, does this person always lay blame at your doorstep? I think I may have gone over this one before in an earlier thing. But never accept responsibility themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of covered that one. So here's the number 14. Is the sexual attraction more than just a physical one? If it's physical, it will dissipate quickly.
Yeah.
Like we get used to it. If you do the same thing a number of times, the freshness wears off. So it's got to be more than that.
Yeah. And too many relationships, especially nowadays, because we're all about accepting your body and accepting our sexuality. Too many relationships start out with just lust. It really does.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And of course, we've been programmed that way.
Yeah.
Nature doesn't care.
Yeah.
Just spread that seed far and wide. You know.
Exactly. Make the kid. That's all that matters. That's all that nature cares about. And
yeah. You know, so you gotta be willing to override that programming instinct.
And this is much easier said than done. I do have to say that.
Oh, absolutely it is. But you know, the thing is, you have to realize, in a sense, we're all puppets on nature's string.
Yeah.
You know, and do you want to just be a puppet and act out, or do you say, no, I don't think so. It's not in my best interest, Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm.
Step back.
Exactly. And this is something the other guy that I've brought on my show twice, Peter and I will have a conversation about sort of free will versus determinism in the future too. But yeah, it's like, how much free will do you have? It's actually, we can get very meta on this point alone.
Yeah.
So that's a talk for you guys to look forward in the future.
Okay. Okay, now let's see here. Number 15. And again, this is an important one, and especially men don't realize it. And that is, how often do you tell someone you love that you really love them? So often men will say, oh, she knows I love her. No, she doesn't. Not if you don't verbalize it. Oh, well, but of course, what's going on there? Well, I might put me in a weaker position. I mean, if I tell her I love her, it means I need her, and I can't let her have that leverage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the thing is that it's and also, how often do you hear it from them?
That's the case.
I love you. You know? But it's the nurturing aspect that's so important for both parties.
Mm-hmm.
And going on to number 16, this is also a very, very important one. Picking somebody who has the same or a similar level of intelligence. Now, why is that so important? Well, think about it for a minute. If you feel that this person isn't too bright, or you disrespect their level of intelligence, they're not on your level, you're going to lose respect for them.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, if you're both, you can have intelligence in different areas. Like, someone can be financially astute, someone else can be business astute, whatever. But it's complementary.
Yeah.
But if this person doesn't measure up, you're going to not respect them as much.
Exactly.
In the long run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after the blush of sex and romance and all that stuff sort of calms down, you know, what are you left with?
Yep.
And by the way, and now this again, they're my views, my thoughts. I feel there's three pillars that are a foundation to a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The first is love. The second is trust, and the third is respect. You have to have all three. If you don't have all three, you don't have a relationship.
Love, trust, and respect.
Yes. Because take one of them away, what do you got?
Yeah. If you only have trust and respect, then that's just a friendship.
Yeah. Right.
And then if you only have love and trust, then that would be a short-term relationship because you lose respect from them if you guys aren't on the same page on different areas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's very interesting. And then if you only have love and respect, then you're going to have a jealous relationship because you don't trust them.
Yep.
Or you're going to have a relationship that's always tense, you're always bringing each other down, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. The trifecta of good relationships.
Yeah.
So we can lump all of these points into one of the three categories. Does it relate to love? Does it relate to trust? Does it relate to respect? Does it relate to both or all three categories? That's very interesting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So, the thing is that everybody's got to find what works for them, but there has to be ways of evaluating it. Otherwise, you're dealing with smoke and mirrors.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm glad you found this interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure the audience are going to love this too. And for those of you watching, please share. Last time I had a list-like video, you guys broke it down and commented on each of one. I would love you guys to do that. So for those of you watching, please, all these 15 points, give examples or give your own thoughts. That way I can respond to it, Dick can respond to it. We can all talk more.
Yeah, and anything you want to add, or you're coming from another perspective, you see another aspect to this, put it in the pot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I think 15 points is really good. It gives you enough to focus on. 15 points is not too much to overwhelm you, but it's more than just 2 or 3, so you have a lot to look for. So I think you have the perfect number.
Well, thank you. It took me a long while to compile all this information, but I was determined to try to gain perspective on it all.
Mm-hmm.
And again, everybody comes from their own reality and their own experiences, and they're not always the same. But I wanted to put something out there that had some commonality to it where, who could argue with that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's important, and if you're missing something on this list in terms of Jesus, that's really not working for me with this relationship. Well, then maybe it's time to back out of it, But these are rough decisions, and this is I think a very difficult list, because there are a lot of emotionally damaged people out in the world with a lot of baggage, but it doesn't mean they're all that way.
That's true.
But the main thing is not to be gravitating to the people who will bring you down. The whole idea is to elevate yourself and to pick from a higher level. And, as I said, the people with low self-esteem are very, very competitive and adversarial and don't want to see you getting ahead. So they've always got the yardstick out, measuring.
Yep.
And if you're a 10 and you pick a 10, you say, hey, I just won the lottery, and their response is terrific. It doesn't take anything away from them.
Yeah, exactly.
But for people with low self-esteem, let's go out and spend it. You know, the whole idea is get you back down where I am.
Yeah. This sense of being happy for people, it's almost lost in, especially in a capitalist society. But I'm not gonna say just capitalist society. I'm just saying any society that has any sort of competition. Like we humans are inherently competitive, right? So we always, like, when someone else gets better, I think no matter how awesome you are, how much of a 10 you are, there will be a little side of you that's be like, oh man, I wish I were in that situation. So we just have to catch ourselves. I remember in college, like, people would love telling me their accomplishments because I would always react genuinely. I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. And so people were like, yeah, always tell Jerry cool things, but he'd always react correctly. So everyone would tell me good stuff, and I was happy for them. But, I think as you get older, you just, sometimes it's like life like knocks you down a few times, and you're not as sort of happy for people anymore, and you just have to remember, no, I'm going to stay who I was in college, I'm going to stay who I was in high school, and just be happy for people. Even if they're, quote unquote, your enemy, still be happy for them. I know it's hard, but I think that's one of the things I've learned that have like a big heart for everyone.
Yeah, well, I again, it's also shifting how you hold everything, and it's not easy to do this, which is why I went into that whole thing the last conversation with you regarding the no spin theory, because to a degree, all of it is an illusion of sort. Somebody can have made millions of dollars, and they end up murdering their wife or something, or are getting drugged out, and they're just human beings who are screwed up. Doesn't matter how much money they've made, it doesn't help them. They're still a mess.
Exactly.
So much for success, and you almost every day you can open the paper and see people who have been enormously successful screw up terribly.
Oh yeah.
In fact, one of the places I go often is Mail Online. What a loony bin!
It's called Mail Online.
Mail Online. It's a UK on the internet.
Oh, like I know what you're talking about. That news website, Mail Online.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's Daily Mail Online.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. At any rate, the point being that you look at all these supposedly successful people, and they've made messes of their lives.
Oh my God.
And hey, then put the flashlight on sports stars who've fathered so many kids with so many different women, and they're bankrupted because of all the alimony.
Child support.
They had all these millions dumped in their lap. They didn't know what the hell to do with it.
Exactly.
They're like children in a way, in terms of I want.
Yeah.
Without thinking of what the consequences might be.
Yeah, without thinking of long term. That's something our society doesn't really teach people enough. We have to learn it ourselves, or maybe a mentor would teach it to us. You have to think about the long term. And when I was sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, there again, that's where you got to write your own manual.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you then own the information. It's like you learn from others, and you see how others have messed up badly. They had it all. It was in the palm of their hand. And poof, it's all gone.
Exactly.
Because they got carried away with their ego and their gratification needs and so forth, and they lose it all.
Yep.
You jerk. One of the hardest things in the world is to try to get to a point where you feel economically secure enough where you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
But if you've got a huge debt hanging over your head, you got a lot to worry about.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, when do you learn?
Yeah.
Better write that manual.
Exactly.
And follow it.
Yep, and learn from other people's mistakes. That's what a smart person does. Don't, the thing is, like, a lot of times we as humans, we're like, yeah, we're doing the same thing as this person that failed, but we're going to tweak a few things and we're going to do it right. And sometimes it's like, you got to step back and be like, the little tweaks, are they actually going to matter? Is it just your ego, like, trying to get you on a path and preventing you from actually seeing the light? I think a lot of people are guilty of that, and that's why so many people repeat the same thing over. It's like, if I do one thing different, even though it's shown many times it fails, I'm gonna succeed this time.
Yeah. But and again, the other thing too is you may learn the lesson and then forget it.
Yeah.
And back into the same bucket again.
Yeah. You logically understand it, but when the biology takes over, and this applies to lots of relationships too, we can take these 15 points, right? Make someone better, make someone look for better people, but your childhood, man, that affects you, that shapes you, and then other things genetically, what attracts you in a person, those things a lot of times will override you. So, it's hard, but I think as you get older, it gets easier. You just remember, it's like, is this making sense in the 15 points that I'm self-examining and examining the world with, or am I just letting my biology ride me right now?
Right. And, as I say, a sale is always made when you tell yourself something you want to hear.
Yep.
It may not be in your best interest in the long run, but, hey, at the moment, it looked good.
That's true. I've only, talking about sales, I've only made one sort of impulse purchase in all my career, so I think I'm good on that. Thank goodness I have a little bit of self-control. One time I bought these cowboy boots for a lot of money, and I wore them, but I thought back on it, and I'm like, damn, I definitely paid too much for it. But that was my only impulse purchase. But one's enough. I want to learn from them. Never gonna happen again.
Right, but something though, it's a learning experience, and sometimes you have to go through these things to sort of get it.
Yeah.
The thing is that all of life is we go to school every day until the final bell.
Yeah.
And if you're not learning your lessons, well, that's your fault.
Exactly.
But the thing is that, and the other thing is, we learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes.
Very true.
You need both, but boy, you really get it when you've made a mistake.
Oh yeah.
It's the aha moment.
Yep, I totally agree.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we've covered all the bases on the list that I wanted to talk about, and there's a whole other subject, but it would be maybe too much to go into now, and that is I have a whole list, a new list that I've drawn up pertaining to the business world.
Oh, that's perfect. And I think
I don't know. Do you have time to go into it now?
I think we should definitely save that for another talk. So you wanna talk again next week? That way it's like every week we can talk about a different topic for the viewers.
That would be good, yeah, because it can be overkill if you try to do too much at once.
Exactly. And I've made a video in the past about sort of business organizational dynamics, so I would love to discuss with you on that. There's I've worked at many companies, and this is something that I think you and I have a lot to talk about. So for those of you watching, the next topic will be about the business world and how to have better organization and better employee management and all that jazz. So
this is a little different. My approach, okay, and basically what I'm going to go into is, and this comes from 50 years of working in advertising in New York City for various agencies. I look for patterns in things because the patterns always repeat themselves.
Exactly.
And I came up with a list. I'm looking at my notes. A list of about 12 different ways problems are served up to you in the workplace. Okay? And what I would say basically is this. With few exceptions. There are always exceptions. In fact, there are exceptions to everything I've said. There's always exceptions.
Yeah.
Nothing's 100%.
Exactly.
But the point that I'm trying to get to is that in business, whether it's big or small, doesn't matter, your supervisors, your bosses, whoever, the people who hand out the problem to the worker bees, the guys who have to get the job done, they're never given the right problem, or almost never given the right problem to solve.
Yeah.
Okay? And I go into all the variations on that, because business could be so much more efficient if people were given the right information, the right problem to start from the get-go. Instead, you get all sorts of misdirections, and by the way, my hat is off to Scott Adams, the guy who created Dilbert. He has made a very, very successful career in business out of his view of business with the boss and the worker bees. Have you ever read
Yeah,
Dilbert?
I love reading Dilbert.
Okay. Well, now, why is it so successful? Because everybody can relate to it.
Exactly.
Everybody's been jerked around by the supervisors, by the bosses, by the CEOs, these are the guys who are running the ship.
Yep.
And they're always giving you the wrong information, the wrong direction, and so I cover all the variations on why it goes that way, or what's behind each one of those ways. they serve up the problem to you, and then of course you're in the trenches, and you got to come up with the solution. And naturally, you want to feel that you've done a good job and you've done the right thing. And then, no, wrong. Gee, what's wrong with me? How come I don't understand?
Exactly.
It's not you. It's them. The bosses.
Awesome.
Just ask Gilbert.
Yep. So for those of you watching, this will be an awesome topic for next week. So I'll end it here. And again, thank you again, Dick, for joining us. I'm sure this was a lot of viewers are going to learn a lot from our current talk, and they'll learn a lot from our next talk. So we'll bring Dick back next week again. Everyone watching, please leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the bell so you get notifications when we next talk. Dick, thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
To everyone watching, see you next time.
Wish everybody well.